if I told you that one man has found more pieces of the world's most mysterious missing plane than entire government search teams combined? Meet Blaine Gibson, the amateur debris hunter, who's become the most controversial figure in the MH370 mystery, and his latest claims are absolutely shaking the aviation world to its core. The man who became obsessed with MH370. Blaine Gibson's entry into the MH370 story feels almost like fiction. A former attorney and world traveler, he had no personal connection to the passengers, no aviation background, and no official mandate to investigate. Yet, after reading about the disaster and its unanswered questions, Gibson felt an irresistible pull. He sold off possessions, packed lightly, and began following his instincts, heading to beaches along the Western Indian Ocean, where he believed debris might eventually wash ashore. What happened next only deepened the intrigue. In his very first search attempt, Gibson stumbled upon a piece labeled "No Step," a fragment that later proved to be part of MH370. What makes this so astonishing is the timing. Within just 20 minutes of beginning his search, Gibson accomplished what trained investigators with ships, aircraft, and sonar had failed to do for months. From that moment, Gibson was hooked, and the world began to take notice. As the years passed, Gibson's name became synonymous with persistence. He crisscrossed remote islands and coastlines, carefully cataloging his finds. Piece after piece, he built a portfolio of wreckage that experts later tied to the missing plane. Each success not only bolstered his credibility, but also widened the mystery. How could one determined individual make so much progress while the official efforts floundered? But with success came suspicion. Some critics argued that Gibson's results were too perfect, while others suggested darker possibilities, that he was somehow being guided, manipulated, or even used to deliver a predetermined narrative about the plane's disappearance. Whether viewed as a determined truth seeker or an unwitting participant in something more complex, Gibson's role has remained one of the most fascinating aspects of the MH370 case. The debris discoveries that shocked the world. It was the debris that made Blaine Gibson impossible to ignore. The no-step panel was just the beginning. Over the following months and years, he uncovered multiple pieces across beaches in Mozambique, Madagascar, and Tanzania. These included flaps from the wing, interior cabin sections, and even smaller items that once belonged inside the plane. Every piece carried a chilling reminder of the hundreds of lives lost and the scale of the mystery that remained. What startled experts most was the condition of these fragments. Many of them were surprisingly clean, showing little of the marine growth that usually clings to objects adrift in the ocean for years. This unusual detail gave rise to more questions than answers. Could these pieces really have floated untouched for so long? Or was something else at play in how and when they appeared? The location of Gibson's finds also became part of the puzzle. Each discovery added to ocean drift models and gave researchers new data about currents in the Indian Ocean. Yet, at the same time, the timing of these finds seemed oddly convenient. Gibson would travel to remote beaches, often at great personal cost, and more often than not, he left with new debris in hand. Even the Malaysian authorities, who were slow to collect or analyze these items, faced criticism for their apparent indifference. By the time Gibson announced he had additional pieces ready to be handed over, the story had crossed from remarkable persistence into near unbelievable territory. To his supporters, he was a hero doing the work governments wouldn't. To his critics, he had become a man whose story was just too improbable to trust fully. Either way, his discoveries changed the landscape of the MH370 investigation permanently. The conspiracy theories that won't die. With every new piece Gibson discovered, the chorus of skeptics grew louder. How could one man, armed only with curiosity and determination, outperformed teams of specialists with multi-million-dollar budgets? For some, the answer lay not in Gibson's determination, but in the possibility of a setup, the theory that debris was deliberately planted to control the narrative of MH370's disappearance. The Netflix documentary about MH370 poured fuel on this fire. By questioning Gibson's background and hinting at his connections to Russia, the film made viewers wonder if he was simply a lucky adventurer or something much more calculated. People searched his name online, trying to link him to intelligence networks or shadowy organizations. Was Gibson working alone, or was he being used as a tool in a larger cover-up? Some conspiracy theories went even further. They claimed that by discovering debris in the Indian Ocean, Gibson was helping cement the official version of events, that the plane had ended up in the southern Indian Ocean. If this story was false, then his role could have been to distract the public and investigators from looking elsewhere, perhaps even toward more politically sensitive regions. These theories, while often speculative, gained traction because of the sheer improbability of Gibson's repeated successes. Despite the controversy, aviation experts defended him. They pointed out the personal sacrifices Gibson made, using his own money, risking his safety, and dedicating years to the search. Whether motivated by obsession, altruism, or something more complex, his work undeniably kept the MH370 mystery alive. Yet the cloud of suspicion surrounding his role has never fully disappeared. The missing pieces of the puzzle. For all of Gibson's dramatic discoveries, one thing remains glaringly absent: the plane itself. Large sections of the fuselage, the engines, and the crucial black boxes are still missing. Considering the size and weight of a Boeing 777, this absence is baffling. Smaller parts have surfaced, but the main wreckage continues to evade even the most determined searches. This strange imbalance has left investigators scratching their heads. If ocean currents carried lightweight panels thousands of kilometers, then where are the larger sections? Could they have sunk quickly to the seabed, or might the crash site itself be somewhere different than officially assumed? These questions fuel the belief that we still know only fragments of the truth. Adding to the confusion are the inconsistencies in the debris itself. Some fragments show damage that doesn't line up with what a high-speed impact would normally cause. Instead, the markings suggest something more controlled, perhaps even the actions of a pilot guiding the plane down deliberately. These anomalies keep alternative theories alive and prevent any final conclusion from settling in the public's mind. Even now, out of more than 40 pieces collected, only a handful have been officially confirmed as belonging to MH370, beyond doubt. The rest are classified as likely or consistent with the missing plane. This hedging of certainty, coupled with slow government responses, has convinced many that politics and bureaucracy are keeping the full story from emerging. Gibson's latest shocking claims. Buckle up, because Gibson's most recent statements are absolutely explosive. In interviews conducted in 2023, he made some claims that have sent shockwaves through the aviation investigation community and conspiracy theory circles alike. Gibson revealed that he has additional debris pieces that he believes are from MH370, and he's concerned that, with the prospect of a new search that may find the plane and the truth, some people are getting pretty worried. This statement suggests that Gibson believes there are people who don't want the full truth about MH370 to come to light. But who would want to cover up the truth about MH370? Gibson's comments imply that there are powerful interests that benefit from keeping the mystery unsolved. This could include government agencies trying to hide intelligence failures, aviation companies protecting themselves from liability, or even foreign governments involved in activities they don't want exposed. Gibson has also made increasingly bold statements about the evidence he's uncovered. He suggested that the debris patterns and damage he's observed indicate that MH370 was not the victim of mechanical failure or hijacking by terrorists, but was instead deliberately crashed by someone with intimate knowledge of the aircraft's systems. According to Gibson's analysis, the debris shows signs of what's called a controlled ditching, an attempt to land the aircraft on the ocean surface rather than letting it crash uncontrolled. This would require a skilled pilot to remain conscious and in control of the aircraft until the very end, which contradicts theories about sudden catastrophic failure or unconscious crew members. Even more controversially, Gibson has suggested that some debris pieces show evidence of fire or explosion damage that occurred before the aircraft hit the water. If true, this could indicate that something happened inside the plane during flight that hasn't been acknowledged in official investigations. The timing of Gibson's latest revelations is also interesting. Malaysia announced in March 2024 that they would collaborate with Australia on another search expedition, and in December 2024 the Malaysian government agreed, in principle, to a new search effort. Gibson's decision to speak out more boldly about his theories coincides perfectly with renewed official interest in finding the aircraft. The international cover-up allegations. If Gibson's discoveries were remarkable, his allegations of an international cover-up are explosive. He has implied that his success in finding debris has made him a target. At times, he has even gone into hiding, claiming he feared for his safety. To many, this suggests that what he has uncovered threatens interests far larger than a single aviation investigation. He has openly criticized the official inquiry for being sluggish and, at times, dismissive of his evidence. In several cases, authorities only collected his debris finds after media pressure embarrassed them into action. This behavior, according to Gibson, reveals not incompetence, but an intentional effort to downplay or delay certain information. The multinational nature of the investigation only complicates matters. With Malaysia, Australia, China, and others involved, each government has its own priorities, secrets, and potential embarrassments. Sensitive data, whether from satellites, radar, or intelligence intercepts, may exist but remain locked away for reasons of diplomacy or national security. Gibson has hinted that crucial information is being deliberately withheld. Beyond governments, Gibson has suggested that even the aviation industry may prefer the mystery to remain unsolved. If the truth revealed vulnerabilities in safety or security, airlines and manufacturers could face enormous financial and legal consequences. By his account, the obstacles he faces are not just natural but institutional, powerful players who would rather the world never know exactly what happened to MH370. The evidence that doesn't add up. Here's where Gibson's discoveries get really puzzling, and why some people think there's more to this story than meets the eye. When you look at all the debris pieces that have been found and analyze them carefully, some patterns emerge that don't quite fit the official narrative. First, there's the geographical distribution of the debris. Gibson's finds have been concentrated in specific areas along the western Indian Ocean coastline, but the pattern doesn't perfectly match what ocean current models would predict if the plane crashed, where authorities think it did. Some pieces have been found in locations that suggest different crash scenarios or different drift patterns. Then there's the condition of the debris pieces themselves. As I mentioned earlier, Gibson's finds have been remarkably free of marine life and biofouling, which is unusual for objects that have supposedly been floating in the ocean for years. Marine biologists would expect to see significant colonization by barnacles, algae, and other sea life on debris that's been in tropical waters for extended periods. The damage patterns on some debris pieces also don't match what aircraft accident investigators would typically expect from a high-speed impact with the ocean. Some pieces show relatively minor damage, while others appear to have been damaged by forces that might not occur in a typical crash scenario. Gibson has also pointed out inconsistencies in how different debris pieces have been analyzed and authenticated by authorities. Some pieces that appear to be clearly from MH370 have been classified as likely or possible matches, while the authentication process for others has been surprisingly slow or inconclusive. There are also timeline issues that don't add up. Some debris pieces were discovered in locations and conditions that suggest they may have washed ashore earlier than officially reported, or may have been in the water for different lengths of time than the official crash timeline would suggest. Gibson has become increasingly convinced that these inconsistencies point to a more complex scenario than the simple plane crashed in the southern Indian Ocean narrative that's been promoted by official investigations. He suggested that the debris evidence actually supports theories involving deliberate action by someone with detailed knowledge of the aircraft and flight systems. Perhaps most controversially, Gibson has hinted that some debris pieces may show evidence of damage that occurred before the aircraft's final impact. This could include fire damage, explosion damage, or structural failure that happened while the plane was still airborne. If true, this would significantly change our understanding of what happened during MH370's final hours. What's next for the MH370 mystery? After a decade of frustration and unanswered questions, there is now a glimmer of renewed hope. Malaysia has signaled willingness to restart search efforts, partnering with international groups like Ocean Infinity to once again scour the depths of the southern Indian Ocean. With new technology and improved ocean modeling, the chances of locating the main wreckage are better than ever. Yet, Gibson himself warns that finding the wreckage may not bring closure. If, as he claims, there are powerful interests invested in keeping the truth buried, then recovery of the aircraft might simply be the beginning of a new battle over information. Even a discovery of the black boxes may not guarantee transparency, depending on who controls the investigation. Still, Gibson remains prepared. He has hinted that he holds more evidence, unreleased to the public, which he could share if attempts are made to suppress or twist the findings of any new search. Whether this is true or simply part of his strategy to keep pressure on governments, it ensures that his role in the MH370 saga will not fade quietly. In the end, Gibson's story represents both the determination of a single man and the complexity of a mystery that refuses to die. His persistence has kept MH370 in the headlines, inspired countless debates, and ensured that the search for truth continues. Whether he is vindicated as a hero or dismissed as an eccentric, his place in the legend of MH370 is secure. So there you have it. The incredible story of Blaine Gibson, the amateur debris hunter who found more pieces of MH370 than entire government search teams, and his explosive claims about cover-ups and suppressed evidence. From his remarkable success at finding debris to his controversial allegations about international conspiracies, Gibson has become the most fascinating figure in aviation's greatest mystery. What do you think? Is Blaine Gibson a dedicated truth seeker who's uncovered evidence of a massive cover-up, or just an attention-seeking amateur who got lucky with some debris finds?